This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, listen, we're going to go rapid fire. We do have some fan questions this week. This was a WrestleMania show, so lots of fan questions, but we'll go quickly. Stuart Walters up first. What does Kurt Angle really think of Glenn Jacobs of Kane?
Oh, I love Glenn. What a great guy. Never said a bad word about anybody. His reputation precedes him. He's just reliable, just a really good guy. Never talked badly about anybody. I absolutely love him.
All right, now good stuff. Richie's up next. Were there any plans to continue the storyline with Kane, or was this meant to be the blow-off of the feud?
What do you think? This was put together all at the last second. I don't think this was going to be a long-running program.
It was
just for one day.
Yeah. That was it for that one. Francis Reyes says, how do you plan what ring gear and your thoughts of doing something special for your WrestleMania entrance? So what goes into that thought?
That's one thing I regret. I never came up with ideas of ring entrances for WrestleMania, never came up with ideas for my gear. I always let my costume people take care of my gear, and I never thought of coming up with innovative entrances. I wish I would have done that. I would have done, it would have really helped my legacy even more, and I never did that.
It's a good point, and now it's a thing. You kind of look forward to seeing WrestleMania, what people's gear and their entrance.
Yeah.
Rory Melberg's up next. He said, with your feud with Kane revolving around head trauma, do you think that kind of storyline would fly today in wrestling?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't even fake it. That's something that everybody is taking seriously right now. Head trauma is a serious issue in athletics and in professional wrestling. And you can't joke around about that stuff anymore.
Jeremy's up next. He said, who came up with the match-specific moniker, the big red, white, and blue machine? It always struck me as an underrated line and one of my favorite parts of the Kane versus Angle, or as he called it, a Kangle. That's hilarious. So who came up with it, the big red, white, and blue machine?
My writer, Brian Gowartz. He comes up with all my stuff. But, I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't think it was that great. But, the big red machine, and I'm the big red, white, blue machine, that, it's passable.
I like it too. It was good. It was something fresh. It was different. A couple more questions from our ad-free shows, folks, Kurt. Adfreeshows.com /Slapnut Lee Dyer asks, if you could have chose a member of the NWO to wrestle instead of Kane at WrestleMania 18, who would have been and why? Thanks.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan, but I have to say Hulk Hogan. I was, as a kid, knowing who he was and the legend he is and household name, he was a huge celebrity, and he did a lot for professional wrestling, and you want to be in the ring with somebody like him.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question comes to us from adfreeshows.com /Slapnut Nick Pomeroy, and he helps you out here a little bit. He says, what WrestleMania site was your favorite from 2000 to 2006 to perform at? And he gives the list. You had Anaheim's Arrowhead Pond, Houston's Astrodome, the Toronto Skydome, Seattle's Safeco Field, New York's Madison Square Garden, the Staples Center in Los Angeles, and then Chicago's Rosemont Horizon.
It's tough. I mean, Madison Square Garden's always my favorite to compete and perform in. But I did like Safeco Field in Seattle, especially me main eventing WrestleMania 19 there. That's the most special WrestleMania for me.
There you go. Adfreeshows.com top guy Bryant Haremza says, you had mentioned on past episodes that you had not been informed of your Mania matches till right before the show early on in your career. Did you ever find it discouraging to not have a good program going into WrestleMania or to have your matches made such last minute?
Yeah, it was discouraging. That's not the thing you want to have happen. You want to have a program coming from the Royal Rumble going all the way to WrestleMania. That's the type of program you want, and that's the type of program that most of the main eventers deserve. It's just that, you get overlooked every once in a while, and sometimes they don't have enough space to book you at WrestleMania, especially for the big storyline feature matches. So I was pretty upset about that.
Got a couple of Hulk Hogan questions here, Kurt. Top guy Lenny Bakken says, Kurt's memories of meeting Hulk Hogan for the very first time.
Hogan was, This wasn't the first time I met him. This was the second time I met him. And we became really good friends after this, which is crazy. But I remember we were having a 6-man tag at Madison Square Garden. It was the second time I met Hogan. And I was in there. We were in there all day. We're doing a house show. We have a 6-man tag match. It's main eventing in Madison Square Garden. And Hulk Hogan doesn't come until 7 at night. Okay, the show's starting at 7:30. Hulk Hogan comes in. We're sitting there going over the match. He walks up and says, "What are we doing tonight?" And I looked at him and I said, "You know what you're doing? You're doing this, this, and this." I told him what he was doing. I didn't give him a choice. And because he wasn't there all day, he didn't put the match together. And I was like, this guy, he thinks he can come in. And it wasn't even that he was being an asshole. He was late because he had an obligation. I didn't know this. But so I'm ripping on him and I'm telling him, "You're not doing anything. You're going to do what I tell you to do, because we have the 6-man match and we have all the spots to back where we need them. And this is your area where you can shine. Do whatever you want in this area. And that's it." And that's what I said to him. And he was like, "Wow, this kid's an asshole." And eventually I became good friends with him. But he came across to me coming in late at 7 at night when you're supposed to be there 1 in the afternoon. And it was like, "Hey, what are we going to do tonight? I have some ideas." And I was like, "No, you don't have ideas. We already put them together. You're going to do what I tell you to do." I didn't know. You have to understand, I didn't watch professional wrestling when I was younger. I didn't know the respect you had to give the wrestlers, especially someone like Hulk Hogan, such a legend and icon. And here I am, I'm disrespecting him because I thought he was disrespecting the business. And I didn't know any better at that particular time, but I did smarten up eventually.
And if you know anything about Kurt, which I've learned about you, you are very regimented, scheduled, and even with us recording shows and things like that.
OCD,
notes,
brother.
Everything is regimented and I love it. I love it because I like the plan. And so I totally get where Hogan walking in, "Buddy, we already planned it out. This is your spot, and this is what you got to do." And Hogan probably looked at you like, "Listen,
we're on in a half hour, and you want to know what you want to do.
Yeah, listen, shithead. I don't know who you think you are, brother. I'm Hulk Hogan." That's funny. Adfreeshows.com enhancement talent Matt Godfrey says, "Hey Kurt, were you starstruck when you met Hulk Hogan?" Sound like maybe the first time you were,
Yes,
second time you were.
No, I was starstruck. I Hulk Hogan, knowing him, knowing that when my football team would come out in high school on Friday night to play football, and we were the championship team in Western Pennsylvania, and everybody's doing this Hulkamania, and I'm like, "What the hell's that?" And I find out, he's a wrestler, he's a professional wrestler, because as an amateur wrestler, I was told never to watch pro wrestling. I told you this before. And so I didn't really know any of the professional wrestlers, but here I am, I'm imitating Hulk Hogan, and I don't know who he is. So I found out who he was, and he was a huge icon in the business. And, eventually I got to meet him. And like I told you before, my friends went freaking crazy when I wrestled Hulk Hogan. I actually beat him. I made him tap out. They were like, "Holy shit, Kurt, you just made Hulk Hogan tap out. Do you know how incredible that is?" And I was like, "Well, it's a work.
It's wrestling.
It's not real."
Yeah. That's what they told us to do. Okay. That's funny. Adfreeshows.com enhancement talent Brandon Arthur asks, "How do you think it would have worked if you were facing Undertaker or Ric Flair at this Mania?"
Well, it all depends on what kind of substance they put behind it. But with Flair and Undertaker, you're guaranteed you're going to get a good program. They're going to work that from the Royal Rumble all the way to Mania. The problem with Kane and I, we were so damn nice, we wouldn't argue or complain or stand up for ourselves. So they were like, "Oh, fuck that. We'll just book them last second." So,
yeah,
it is what it is. And you have to demand respect to get it.
And as you've told us today, with good program comes good cash. So that is unfortunate.
Creative and the cash go together.
Is that a regret, Kurt? You never got to work Taker at Mania. Would this have been the perfect opportunity?
Yes, but I do believe it was a little bit too early in my career. I really got my juices flowing in 2003, 4, and 5. I would have much rather wrestled Undertaker at that particular time. But I would have taken him at any WrestleMania. It would have been awesome. But I got better and better. And then by 2006, when I wrestled him at No Way Out, that was one of my best matches in my entire career. And I really wish that would have been a WrestleMania match. And I know Undertaker wishes it was as well.
There you go. Our final question, and this is a fun question. It comes to us from adfreeshows.com enhancement talent Jeremy Samuels, who's obviously from Canada, and you'll understand why. Did you stay at the Sky Dome Hotel? Did you go out anywhere in Toronto, Hard Rock, or the CN Tower?
I did go to the CN Tower. Very cool. Up high, overlooks the city. The city's beautiful, and the restaurants there are incredible. I had a really great time in Toronto. I love that city.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.